Crows are really clever and adaptable birds that belong to the Corvus group. They're known for being super smart and can even recognize people's faces. These social birds talk to each other using different sounds and movements, and they form these complex groups where they all interact. When it comes to food, they're not picky and eat all sorts of stuff, including insects, small animals, fruits, and even leftovers from people. Crows make their homes in trees and work together to raise their little ones. You can find them in lots of different places, even in cities. They've got a special place in different cultures too. While they're not really in danger, they do have some problems like losing their homes because of changes in the environment. Because they're so smart and do interesting things, scientists like to study them, and people find them pretty fascinating too. Crows have been really important in stories and beliefs for a long time. Like, in Native American stories, they're seen as tricky characters and messengers. In Norse mythology, these birds are like special messengers for Odin. There's also this three-legged crow in Japanese stories that's linked to the sun goddess. Greeks, Romans, and the Haida people all have their own crow stories with different meanings. In Irish tales, crows might mean something bad or wise. In Hinduism, they're thought to be the spirits of ancestors. You can find crows in Aesop's fables too, showing off their smarts. And writers like Edgar Allan Poe use them to mean different things in their stories. So, no matter where you look, crows often stand for change, smarts, and a bit of mystery. Certainly, here are some fascinating facts about crows. Crows are seriously clever when it comes to using tools. They've been spotted creating tools out of sticks, leaves, and even their own feathers. They're not just using them as is, but they're changing them to work better for what they need. And get this, they can solve problems that involve using tools in different steps. They're not shy about learning from each other either. If one crow figures out a cool tool trick, others watch and copy. This shows how smart and adaptable they are. You won't believe how cool crows are with faces. They can actually remember different human faces and tell them apart, just like we do. If a crow meets a person, it can remember that person's face for ages. And get this, if a crow has had a bad run-in with someone, it can let its crow buddies know by making specific alarm sounds. It's like they're saying, "Watch out for that one." They're pretty smart that way. This face memory thing also helps them deal with their crow friends and understand who's who in their group. It's almost as if they've got a mini superpower for recognizing faces. You know what's really cool? Crows have this awesome way of talking to each other. They don't use words like we do, but they've got a whole bunch of different calls and moves. They use these to chat about stuff like danger, yummy food finds, and even making plans with their crow buddies. It's kind of like they have their own crow language. And get this, they've got different accents depending on where they're from. Just like we learn from our parents, young crows learn their talking tricks from older ones. But it's not just about sounds, they also use their bodies to show what they mean. For example, they might bob their heads to show how excited or annoyed they are. And when it comes to danger, like a hawk flying by or a cat on the prowl, they've got special calls for each situation. What's even cooler is that they can recognize each other by their voices. It's like knowing who's talking on the phone without looking at it. All this talking shows how smart and social crows are. You won't believe this, but crows do something really interesting when one of their own dies. They kind of gather around the body, making loud sounds and checking it out. It's almost like they're having a little crow meeting about what happened. Some people think it's like a crow funeral, where they're sad or curious about their friend. But others think they might be learning from the situation to stay safe. Crows have these close-knit groups, so when something like this happens, it's a peek into their social world and how smart they are. You know, crows are pretty smart when it comes to building their nests. They don't just put some sticks together, they carefully choose the right materials, like twigs and leaves, to make a comfy home. And it's not just about comfort, they also pick safe spots high up in trees to protect their babies from danger. What's really cool is that sometimes they team up for the job. The mom usually takes the lead, but the dad might pitch in by bringing materials. They're like a construction crew, but for crows. They get pretty creative too. Some crows use things like spider silk and even bits of paper or plastic they find lying around. It's like they're customizing their nests based on what they find. Young crows learn how to build nests by helping their parents. So, it's kind of like a family tradition being passed down. And you can tell who built a nest by its unique look. Each crow has its own style. Building nests isn't just about having a place to stay. It's really important for their family life and making sure their babies are safe and cozy. So, whether it's picking the best twigs or adding a personal touch, crows are pretty skilled architects of their own little homes. Crows are all about family. Both parents play a big part in taking care of their babies. Even after the babies grow up and leave the nest, they still hang around with the family for a while. This helps them learn important stuff from their parents and other family members, like finding food and staying safe from danger. They're like a team when it comes to protecting their home. They use different sounds and their body movements to talk to each other and coordinate activities. They even share food with each other, which shows how much they care. The older crows are kind of like teachers. They show the younger ones how to behave and fit in with the crow group. And it's not just skills, they also pass down things like what's cool and what's not in their crow society. All of this family stuff is a big deal for crows. It helps them be really good at living in all sorts of places and dealing with different things that come their way. Believe it or not, crows can stick around for quite a while. Some live around 7 to 8 years on average, but others manage to reach over 20 years. Their secret to a long life seems to be their smarts and how well they adapt. They're great at learning from their experiences, talking to each other, and avoiding danger, which helps them stay safe. Being social creatures, they have strong bonds with their crow buddies. Older crows pass down what they've learned to the younger ones, kind of like wise teachers sharing their knowledge. Plus, crows are really good at making themselves at home in different places, even in busy cities. The fact that crows have this long life helps them build up a lot of skills over time. They're like experts at staying safe, finding food, and figuring out how things work in their world.